Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Chaos Child. Shibuya is becoming overrun with monsters. This is bad. We're trying to come up with plans. We don't have any real ideas. We knew the answer from the beginning. Since there was no way to control Kazuki's power, there was no way for her to get rid of her delusions. After about 2 hours, we started to realize that it might not be safe to stay at the school, and decided to head home.
Takuru, あなた帰る場所ないでしょ? 家に戻ってきたら?
By home, she meant Aoba dorm. She was right that I couldn't go back to Miyashita Park. There might be monsters there now.
タクって今、花ちゃんの部屋にいるんだよね。うん。
やらしいよな。
Kazuki shook her head furiously.
なあ、宮代、風呂とか入ってるのか？脱衣所で風呂上がりにばったりみたいなラッキースケベイベントには遭遇したか？
He really doesn't learn. That was all Ito seemed to care about.
伊藤くん、いい加減にして。そういうの本当にあるのかな？
だってずっと一緒にいるんだぜ。それぐらいのハプニングはあっても。
Kazuki's face turned bright red as she pounded the wall.
そういうのはないと。そうか。そりゃ悪かった。
It was rare to see Kazuki so upset.
それでタクル、どうするの？うちに来る？
い
や、行かない。和樹を一人にはできない。
だったら二人とも来ればいいわ。
それもダメだ。寮に危険が及ぶ可能性だってある。
そんなことは。タク、それでいいの？
あ。
そっか。それじゃあ私たちは帰ろう。ほら、のんちゃんも。あ、ちょっとセリカ。タク、花ちゃん、バイバイ。
Sarika smiled and waved, then grabbed Ito and Kurisu by the hand and went to leave the room.
タクル、カズキのこと頼むわよ。何かあったらすぐに私に連絡すること、いい？
あ、なあ。
Kurisu looked like she wanted to say more, but Sarika dragged her out of the room before she could. Kazuki and I were left alone in the club room.
勝手に決めたけど、よかったかな。もう部屋に入れたくないならそう言ってほしいんだけど。
She shook her head again. That was all she'd been doing lately.
でも。
But then she suddenly started to talk. She'd been so insistent about not talking when everyone else was around. Did that mean she trusted me?
セリカ先輩のこと、いいの？
いいのって？
タクル先輩が私の部屋来ると、セリカ先輩怒るかも。
なんで？
だってタクル先輩とセリカ先輩付き合ってるんでしょ？
は？いや、付き合ってないし。
ん？だっていつも一緒だったかもだから。
それは幼馴染だからってだけだ。
付き合ってないんだ。知らなかったかも。
Had Kazuki gotten mad back there because she didn't want Sarika misunderstanding things? If so, then she'd be wasting her time.
それにしても、和樹がそんな誤解をしていたなんてな。少し意外だ。他人に興味なさそうに見えたから。さてと、僕たちもそろそろ帰ろう。ここも危ないだろうから。
Well, but then I realized Kazuki had sat down at the PC to play ESO2, and she had her headphones on.
っていつの間にゲーム始めてた？
Sheesh. She must have been really excited to play her game. Kazuki's gaze was locked on the monitor. She didn't look away for an instant. Her concentration was palpable. If I interrupted her, she might punch me instead of the wall. It wouldn't hurt to let her play for a while. Since I didn't have much to do while she was playing her game, I decided to go up to the roof. Of course I didn't go to the back, I just went up past the crumbling stairs to look outside. The portal device was still floating out there, but unlike the one in front of Park U, there were no bodies anywhere, just a single red stain on the floor. Yup, were monsters not going to appear from this one? I felt an indescribable terror welling up within me. It was so scary being here alone. I ran back to the club room. I'm glad that was it. We just went back. Once Kazuki started her game, she wouldn't take her headphones off no matter how much I yelled at her. She was totally lost within her game and had totally forgotten I'd ever existed. That's right. That's who Hana Kazuki was. She wouldn't normally use her power to save me, regardless of the risks, or let me stay in her room. Normally, this was who she was. I'd been living with her in the same room for a few days, and so I'd forgotten that. Still, I was amazed how she could play a game for so long without any breaks. Didn't she ever have to go to the bathroom? Actually, I remembered that Cool Cat Press had once done an article on gamers who never left their seats. They'd said a true gamer would rather keep playing than take the time to go to the bathroom. But wasn't this a 90s mag? Like, had people hit that point? So if they had to go, they used a plastic soda bottle or something like that. When I'd seen the article, I thought it had to be fiction. But watching Kazuki, I wasn't so sure. Wait, did Kazuki ever go in soda bottles?
いやいやいや、何変なことを考えてるんだ僕は。
Yeah, really, what are we doing? Ever since I started living in the same room, I started having more and more delusions like that. Maybe it was just because I was a boy undergoing puberty, but later I'd come to hate myself for feeling that way given all that was going on. A huge noise almost caused me to jump in the air. Kazuki had hit the wall again. What had happened this time to upset her? I looked outside the window. The sky was turning red. It was surprisingly noisy outside. There wasn't a single person inside or outside the school, but the noise was coming from the police sirens on the ground and media helicopters up above. The media had decided it was too risky to head into Shibuya directly, so they were forced to do the reporting from the sky. Still, it felt like they'd been there all day from morning to night. I was amazed they hadn't gotten bored. Without anyone here in Shibuya, it wasn't like there was anything that could happen. Then I thought I heard a different noise than the sound of the helicopter rotors. I held my breath and listened. It didn't seem like I was imagining it. I could hear the sound. It was a sound I'd normally never pay any attention to, but a sound that I definitely shouldn't have heard in this building. Someone's footsteps were coming down the hall. That was enough to bring back my memory of several days ago. Was that woman still alive? No, I thought that at first, but there's no drag. Particularly nasty sweat started to pour out of my body. I tried my best not to make a sound as I concentrated all my focus into my ears. The footsteps didn't sound like the person was wearing heels. I didn't hear any dragging. It wasn't that woman. At least that's what I wanted to believe. But then who? Was someone besides us in the school? But who? The others had gone home hours ago. Had they come back, but then wouldn't they call or text me first? I'd peeked in the teacher's office when I'd arrived and there was no one there. The only other possibility I could think of was that someone besides us had ignored the police warning and stayed in Shibuya. The footsteps were getting closer. Is it going to be Nightheart? Did she summon him? I tapped Kazuki on the shoulder and made her take off her headphones.
誰かが来る。
What should we do? Hide? Run out into the hallway? They probably knew we were here. Nobody would come all the way to the 5th floor of this building otherwise. But then who could they be? Maybe the mastermind who was controlling that woman? It could be. If that was the case, it would be a bad idea to try and hide. But it didn't seem like Kazuki and I would be able to fight them. We had to run. It was better than hiding.
カズキ、逃げるぞ。
I saw Kazuki nod, then took a deep breath and opened the door. I ran out into the hallway, but there was someone standing there and I ran straight into them. Smooth. I lost my balance and almost fell over. Someone grabbed my hand as it flailed out into the air.
大丈夫?
Just some teacher? It was only then that I realized who it was. Wakui?
涌井先生。
But why?
いやー、君たちだったのか。
The language teacher and advisor for the newspaper club and student council looked at us both and grinned.
一部の保護者から連絡があってね。
Wakui nibbled on the dried squid Kazuki offered him as he explained.
ニュースで渋谷の空撮映像が流れていたんだ。そこでちょうどここが映った時に人影が見えたって。それで僕がこうして様子を見に来たわけだよ。まったく人使い荒いよね。
Is that really what happened? He just decided to show up against police orders and go into a danger zone? This might be a serious stretch. Could Wakui be Nightheart? All I could do was laugh. It was just like Wakui to end up being forced into coming here because he couldn't bring himself to refuse. We'd managed to make it here because we knew a lot about the situation in Shibuya, but Wakui must have come without doing any research at all. Wrongsiders like him are always the first to die. Too much time in peaceful Japan had addled his brain.
一体何をしていたんだい？危ないから休校になっているのに。
I gotta say, if Wakui is Nightheart, then his whole existence in this game would be like a surprise cameo from Chaos Head moment. Now, how to talk my way out of this? There was no point in telling Wakui the truth. As I tried to figure out the best way, Kazuki walked back to the computer and booted up ESO2 again. Wakui stared at her suspiciously for a moment.
もしかしてゲームしてたの？
Kazuki nodded without looking away from the screen.
なんだ、そんな理由か。まったくのんきだな。人が亡くなっているっていうのに。
外をほっつき歩くよりは学校内にいた方が安全では。
それを言うなら渋谷から出た方がいいんじゃないかな。
僕は宮下公園に住んでますから。
I just realized, by the way, when he said leave altogether, he said all together instead of altogether. Anyway.
ああ、そうだっけ。他に頼れるところはないの？親戚とか。
This conversation was pointless. I'd known Wakui since I started the newspaper club. Had I never told him I didn't have any relatives?
まあね。君たちの気持ちもわかるんだよ。
え？
いや、渋谷に戒厳令が敷かれたような状況になってるでしょ。こんなことをなかなか経験できることじゃないからね。危険だと分かっていても、ついその危険の中に飛び込みたくなる気持ちっていうのかな。若気の至りと言っちゃそこまでなんだけどさ。でも僕はその若気の至りというやつを否定するつもりはないんだ。おや、どうしてって顔しているね。言っておくが、僕だって君たちみたいに若かった頃があるんだよ。
I hadn't been confused. I'd been bored. It felt like this was going to take a while, and he was totally trying to pull off the teacher who understands his students act. Or who understand, whoops. There's nothing wrong with that, Mr. Wakui, but you're wasting your time trying to understand me and Kazuki right now.
若者というのはどんな時代だって大人や社会に対して反抗的でいたいものさ。事実、戦後数十年はそういう若者たちで溢れていたわけだし、ちょうど僕の親ぐらいの世代からかな、おとなしくなっちゃったのは。
God, this is gonna take a while.
物分かりが良すぎるんだよね。特に僕ら以降の世代って。
はあ。
I wasn't sure how to respond to this. What was the best way to get rid of this guy? I couldn't let him find out that Kazuki and I were staying in the same room, which meant that ideally I wanted to leave the school without him. My phone started to vibrate in my pocket. Wakui was still talking, but I took it out anyway as a sign that I wasn't interested in hearing what he had to say. I had a message. It was from Kazuki. From Kazuki? I looked up. Kazuki was still playing ESO2 with her back to me, but when I looked carefully I saw that she was holding her smartphone with a hand that wasn't holding the mouse. Why would she send me a text message if I was standing right in front of her? Take a freaking guess, dude! She's doing it stealthily. It was always so hard to tell what Kazuki was thinking. Or maybe there was something important that she couldn't tell me because Wakui was here? Anyway, I looked at the message.
宮代くん、どうかした？
ああ、いえ。
そう？ならいいけど。 で、どこまで話したっけ？つまりね。
I was hoping he would just go back into boring speech. Just doesn't care. Wakawi was still talking. Was he always this talkative? My heart was pounding loud and fast. My mind still couldn't process it. I couldn't believe what I just saw in that text message. I took another look at it, being careful not to let Wakawi see. Message from Nightheart. Mr. Wakawi is an assassin from the committee? Actually, now that I think about it, his being Nightheart wouldn't make sense. I totally forgot when Sakuma wanted to get brain scans or whatever in Aoba dorm. Wakawi was there, and I thought that was kind of weird. I forgot he had a bit of an in with Sakuma, but if this is true, this is insane. The committee would be the Committee of 300 that Nightheart had been talking about, right? Their assassin was Wakawi? The language teacher? The guy who was rambling on in front of me?
ところで、なんだっけ？宮代くんたちが調べていた事件って。
I mean, to be fair, this guy is way too chill for this particular situation, but... Oh, man.
え？ほら、そこのボードに貼ってあるやつだよ。何かわかった？
This is very uncomfortable. Should I believe him or not? Nightheart had said that the Committee of 300 might take action, but he hadn't told me why. What were they after? If he was an assassin, were they trying to kill me and Kazuki? Did they not like what was happening in Shibuya right now? Of course no one would like it, not just the committee. But killing us wouldn't make things better. Did the committee not know that? But if I told them, would they really just leave me alone? Or was there another reason they wanted to kill us? I didn't know. There was no way for me to know. It was all just guesses. Was what Nightheart had said even true anyway? Did the Committee of 300 really exist? Where did he find out? How? What was his source? Looking back, it was hard to say if he was even on our side. Kazuki seemed to trust him, though. Was it possible that Nightheart was the real assassin? If I wanted to be really skeptical, I couldn't even be sure that Nightheart had contacted Kazuki just now. There was a chance she was lying to me. I didn't know why, but there was a chance she might be trying to make me think Wakawi was a bad guy. There were all sorts of things to doubt. I was so confused. What should I believe in? Who? Who should I believe? Who was I supposed to believe?
おーい、宮代くん?
Hearing my name called shook me out of the trance. Evidently I had been lost in thought.
顔、青くないかい?
ああ、いえ。
What were we talking about again?
事件のことですか？
そうそう。いろいろ無茶して調べてたんでしょ?
Kazuki looked over her shoulder at me. When I saw the little bit of fear in her eyes, I made my decision. That's right. Whether or not I could trust Nightheart, there was no way I couldn't trust Kazuki. She wasn't the type of person who could lie to someone. And it didn't make a lot of sense for Wakawi to be here right now. He was the type of person who'd go out of his way to avoid trouble. Would he really put himself in danger by coming to Shibuya just because a parent had called?
だいぶ前にクルス君から軽く愚痴られたよ。宮代君がちっとも言うことを聞いてくれないから顧問として指導してくれってね。
はあ。
But then why was Wakawi rambling on like this? If he was an assassin, wouldn't he just try to kill us? They wouldn't send a complete amateur. He should be capable of killing us. He's probably sussing out the situation. I realized I was more nervous than I thought, but I couldn't let it show. If Wakawi found out, I was finished. This is crazy.
いや、僕もね、学生の頃に世界各地で起きている戦争やらテロ事件なんかを見聞きしていろいろ考えたんだよ。それでバックパッカーとして旅に出たりしてね。いわゆる自分探しの旅ってやつかな。
意外ですね。
だろう？僕もあの頃は若かったな。
What could be the reason that Wakawi was still talking about all this? I could eliminate the possibility that Nightheart was wrong. If he was, then I'd be fine. It would be safer to assume the worst case. Possibility number 1, he was trying to drag out the conversation to learn something from us. His target might be just me, or it might be just Kazuki. What if he wasn't sure who it was yet? Perhaps he was only after the person who created the portal device, and he wasn't sure if that was me or Kazuki. Possibility number 2, he was hesitant. He was our club advisor after all. It was possible that he felt some kind of sympathy for us. Sakuma did not give a damn, dude. I mean, we don't know that yet in this branch, but ooh, careful. No, there was no chance of that. Okay.
でも僕としては宮代くんの味方をしてあげたんだよ。クルスくんの言い分もよくわかるんだけどね。やっぱりほら、僕も宮代くんと同じく男だから。
Was he just waiting for us to fall into some trap? Or was he just not worried because he didn't think we knew who he was? I sent a quick message back to Kazuki, and he didn't notice? Like, I'm talking to him. We're going to run.
男子として共感しちゃったわけ。
I don't think he could outrun an assassin, dude.
それ単にあれこれ指導するのが面倒だったとかじゃないんですか？
失礼だな。ま、実際のところは君の言う通りなんだけどね。
Immediately an answer came from Kazuki. How? For now, I just wanted to get out of this room, and get away from Wakui too if I could manage it.
ただ、あんまりやんちゃをするのは良くないな。
え？
君たちはまだ学生なんだからね。法に触れるようなことをしたら将来を棒に振ってしまう。
I wonder if this is his attempt at giving us an out and telling us to stay the hell away.
ああ、取材の話か。
ん？
いえ別にやましいことは何もしてないし。
That scared me. I thought he was talking about something else. The next thing I knew, my throat was parched. I gulped down the entire Mountain View I'd just bought from a vending machine earlier. This was looking bad. Both Kazuki and I were powerless. There was basically no chance of both of us getting away. I might have to pick the better of two bad choices. It was my one hope for avoiding the worst possible outcome.
なあ、カズキ。
Kazuki jerked upward when I spoke to her. She slowly, fearfully turned around. She was so nervous her movements were stiff. Come on, act natural.
飲み物を買ってきてくれないか。ちょうどなくなっちゃって。
I'm giving her an out.
っていうか宮代くんさ、まだここにいるつもり？これでも僕、君たちを連れて帰らなきゃならない立場なんだけどな。
でも涌井先生の話、もうちょっと聞きたいんで。
え、本当？それは嬉しいな。最近の生徒ってさ、僕の昔話なんて鬱陶しがるばかりでね。
なんなら新聞部で記事にしましょうか。涌井先生特集。
いやいや、そんなの照れちゃうよ。
I was shocked to find that I was speaking as well as, say, Ito.
和樹ももうしばらくゲームをしていたいだろ。
Kazuki stood up, uncertain.
付き合ってやるから、その代わり自販機でジュース買ってきてよ。
I took a coin out of my pocket and practically forced it into Kazuki's hand.
よろしく。
Run away without me, I tried to motion to her with my eyes. I don't know if she understood. She nodded reluctantly. Then she slipped past me and headed for the door.
和樹くん、平気？なんなら僕も一緒に行こっか。
Was he watching us? This whole time we don't know for sure if he's an assassin, but if he is, that would be an incredible reveal. Did he figure us out? His expression was the same as it had been for a while now. It was the same goofy look the students always joked about.
大丈夫ですって。今学校には誰もいないし。先生も何か飲みたいなら、和樹に買ってきてもらったら。
And then I realized that I might have made a mistake. Kazuki's hand was already on the doorknob.
あ、それじゃあ頼もうかな。僕缶コーヒーね。微糖のやつ。わかる？朝用って書いてあるんだけど、赤い色の缶だよ。
Kazuki glanced at me. You're worrying too much about me. He'll figure out that something's wrong. Wakui was rummaging through the inner pocket of his suit.
僕さ、小銭は財布に入れない派なんだよね。あちこちのポケットに直接入れて持ち運ぶんだ。そしたら財布を落とした時の被害分散にもなるし。
This guy really does ramble.
あ、お札は別ね。 ちゃんと札入れを持ってるよ。
He really was talkative today. Yeah. How long did it take to search for change?
それにほら、自分でどこにいくら入れたか忘れちゃうとさ、後で再発見した時に少しラッキーって思ったりできるだろう。そういうささやかな喜びが人生には必要なんだよ。
先生、いいから早くお金渡して。僕喉が渇いて仕方ないんですよ。
I got a little aggravated and my tone was a bit harsh. But I instantly regretted it. If I didn't act calm, Wakui would figure out what I was up to.
悪いね、なかなか見つからなくて。お、あったあった。
Wakui finally took 200 yen out of his pants pocket.
じゃ、よろしく。
Kazuki spread out her hand. It was holding the few coins that I'd given her. Wakui put his hand over hers and dropped 2 100 yen pieces. The coins fell, and collided with the coins in Kazuki's hand. And didn't make a sound? Huh? That's weird. This close I should be able to hear the sound of 2 small pieces of metal colliding. Wakui was rummaging through his pockets again as he opened and closed his mouth. What was he doing? It felt weird. Suddenly I realized why. Wakui was talking to Kazuki, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. What? Did somebody do that? Why? I put my finger in my ear to see if it was clogged, and then I noticed something else weird. Normally I'd be able to hear the sound of my fingertip touching my eardrum, but no matter how many times I jammed my finger into the small hole, I didn't hear a sound. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard any other sound for a while either. Why? What was going on? Don't tell me that's his power. I spoke to Kazuki. Wow, just no voice acting for this. Is something weird going on? I thought I'd said that, but I couldn't hear my own voice. Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was just looking at the coins in her hand as if she was about to cry. Well, can you hear me? I yelled louder, but it didn't work. Why? This didn't make sense. My hearing was normal a second ago. There was no way I could just go deaf like that, which meant something was going on, but I had no idea what it could be. I tried to tell myself that I might be hallucinating. I closed my lips and stood as still as I could, and listened carefully. It wasn't pure silence. I could hear what sounded like a ringing in my ears. I could still hear it. How did ringing in your ears work again? Was it really sound in the strictest sense? Was it made by vibrating air? Or was it some kind of supersonic wave? Suddenly I felt very nervous, and I opened up my web browser on my phone to run a search. When I read what I found there, I got scared. Stress is said to be one cause, but it is still unknown where exactly in the body it occurs. What the hell? I was sure that modern medicine would have an answer for that. How could they just say they didn't know? Once I started noticing it, I couldn't ignore the ringing. The constant noise started to seem extremely unpleasant. Why was I hearing this ringing and nothing else? I looked back at Kazuki. She was holding her ears and looking around frantically. Ugh. Was it happening to her too? Kazuki! I tried yelling. Kazuki didn't respond, but Wakui looked at me. His lips twisted into a grin. This is incredible. It was him. He was like a totally different person. The face of lazy, unreliable teacher had changed completely. The easygoing, peaceful smile was gone. That was when I knew. He was an assassin from the committee, just like Neidhart had said. What was happening to me was because of his attack. But how could he be doing that? Was he a psychic too? Ah! It felt like the ringing was growing louder. It was all I could hear. It kept ringing at the same frequency, never letting up. It was like it was stabbing into my brain. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. There was no point in putting my hands over my ears. The ringing hadn't even been there for that long, but I already felt like I was going crazy. I screamed. I tried yelling as loudly as I could, but it didn't work. No matter how much I howled, I couldn't hear my own voice. Who could have known it would be so stressful not to be able to hear your own voice? I put my hand to my throat and screamed again. My vocal cords were vibrating. I must be speaking. But all I could hear was the noise. Was this really just the ringing in my ears anyway? It seemed like endless thunder in the sky. Maybe I was starting to go crazy. Maybe hearing the ringing for so long meant that I couldn't even recognize it as ringing anymore. Or maybe I was just hallucinating. My head started to hurt. Maybe. My field of vision kept wavering. I couldn't keep my balance. Even standing up became difficult. It was like standing on the deck of a ship during a storm. I fell to my knees, unable to stay up any longer. I begged to hear another sound. I slapped my own body and slammed my smartphone into the ground, desperate to hear any other kind of sound, but it didn't work. Then I felt my phone vibrating and looked at the screen. I had a message. Was it from Kazuki? Maybe she found a solution. I opened it, hopeful, but of course my hopes were immediately crushed. It was from Wakui, not Kazuki, and this is what it said. They say that in a completely silent environment, a human will go mad within 45 minutes. You and Sakuma! You freaks! I looked up. Wakui was looking down at me with a cruel smile on his face. There was a can of coffee in his hands. I wasn't sure when he'd gotten it. He took a slow sip from it and laughed. What happened to Kazuki? I spun my head around, desperately looking for her. She was rolled up in a ball by the entrance of the room. She'd covered her ears with her hands and was shaking. She couldn't escape either. Had Wakui known all along? That we knew who he was and were trying to escape? I'd thought I could get the initiative, but he'd been laughing at me the whole time. Still, wasn't there anything that could be done about this ringing? I thought it was a constant frequency, but it wasn't. There was a faint rhythm. What was this sound? I wanted to get rid of it somehow. Otherwise I might really go crazy like Wakui said. Then my phone shook again. It was another message from Wakui. Do you want to know what that sound is? I looked up at Wakui and nodded. He laughed. He seemed truly happy, and moved his lips in a big, easy-to-read motions. It's the sound of your body. It was only then that I realized that I made so much noise, that there were so many different chaotic noises within my own body. Yeah, I could see that driving you really freaking nuts. Like, we can hear our own body, it's just that normally we can't because anything is louder. It made sense. It was normal for a living creature. My heart beat, my blood vessels contracted, my blood cycled, my cells died and were born, my lungs inhaled air and exhaled carbon dioxide, my organs emitted all kinds of different fluids. My intestines contracted, my nails grew, my hair grew. All of those things made tiny little sounds. Normally you'd go through your entire life without hearing the sounds your own body made. But now, with my sense of hearing shut off, they were overflowing from within me. They were the sounds of my life. But there was no joy in hearing the breath of life so directly. I wasn't trying to make these sounds. It felt like my body wasn't mine. It felt like someone was giving my body orders without asking my permission, and once I started thinking that way, I couldn't stop. My mind and body had separated. There was nothing but the terrifying sounds of life. My own body scared me. I wanted to rip my mind away from this lump of flesh. I wanted to rip off my skin and yank out my lungs, my heart, my intestines, every single organ, every single blood vessel. I screamed in fear, but I couldn't hear myself. Only the chaotic sounds of my body as they played in layered harmony. And since there was nothing else to hear, I was forced to listen. I was forced to imagine which organ was making each sound. The sounds overlapped more and more, a disharmonious noise that bounced off the walls of my skull. I didn't know if it was a real sound, an echo, or if I was just hallucinating. My thoughts were swept up in the flood of sound. This didn't make sense. Why was I suffocating in a flood of sound if I couldn't hear? How long was this going to last? The rest of my life? Until I died? I couldn't stand that. Did he say that after 45 minutes I'd go mad? I wasn't even going to last that long. I didn't want to hear this noise for another second. Someone turn it off. I'll do anything, as long as you turn it off. I'd rather die. I want to die. Kill me. I crawled along the floor and reached out my hand toward Wakui's feet. Kill me. I begged for death. Kill me. I longed for the silence that awaited beyond it. Kill me. Release me from the sound, please. Kill me. Oh. Really? Suddenly, a sound like shattering glass traveled from my ears to the rest of my body. That was what that sounded like. I could hear my own voice. The sound of my shallow breathing was surprisingly clear. It wasn't just that. The sound of my clothes rustling, the tiny chirping of birds in the distance, the sound of the wind or the leaves blowing through trees, the sound of a patrol car siren, the sound of Kazuki's pained coughing as she curled up in a ball next to me. I could hear all those tiny sounds. I could hear every single sound in the world with abnormal clarity. My vision was blurry. My head still hurt. But the sound was back. I'd never been so happy in my life to hear all this noise.
邪魔が入ったね.
Wakui spoke calmly as he walked to the windowsill. The glass in the club room window was broken. So that was shattering glass, but why did that work? He picked up something off the floor. It was a ball.
高級ね. 偶然ではなさそうだ.
A baseball had come through the window, and that had interrupted Wakui's attack? This was the 5th floor. Who had thrown the ball? The baseball team wasn't practicing outside, and this room didn't even face the baseball diamond anyway. The only people in the school, no, in the whole surrounding area, should have been me, Kazuki, and Wakui.
宮代くんたちに手を出すなら相応の理由を説明しろということかな。やれやれ。彼女は宮代くんに対して本当に甘いね。
Wakui was saying something. He didn't seem to be talking to anyone. He wasn't speaking to us. He wasn't on the phone. What was he talking about?
いいよ。今日のところはここまでにしておくよ。宮代くん、和樹くん。悪いが続きはまたにさせてもらうね。
Wakui's voice was gentle, but he didn't even glance down at us as he went to the door. Wow.
一つ教えておくけど、逃げられるなんて思わない方がいい。
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just gonna let us go, but we really have nowhere to go.
君たちはやりすぎたんだ。委員会は君たち二人を世界の敵として認定した。これは決定事項でね。
Oh, that's interesting. Because, you know, it's very easy to say that the committee are the bad guys, but we unleashed monsters. We are arguably enemies of the world. Still, though, Wakui is acting like a villain.
故にこの地球上のどこへ行こうと、我々は世界規模のネットワークで君たちを捉え続ける。見失うことはないんだ。絶対にね。
This is terrifying.
では、また。気をつけて帰りなさい。
Oh my god. That was great. Wakui left, and Kazuki and I were left alone. How the hell do we resolve this story? Where are we going to go with this? I could hear Kazuki moan. I could hear her breathing clearly.
カズキ、大丈夫か？
I was surprised at my voice. Was this what my voice sounded like? Kazuki was still lying on the ground, shaking her head. Of course she wasn't fine. I looked closer and saw that there was a puddle under her legs. Her skirt was strangely wet, too. She must have peed herself when Wakui had attacked her. That was just how terrifying it was. Why had Wakui let us go? Why had he tortured us instead of just killing us? I didn't know and I didn't want to think about it. Yeah, if we're enemies of the world, then, like, why don't you just deal with it? I didn't even have the energy to stand up, but I forced myself to do so anyway. I didn't want to stay here. There was probably nowhere that was safe, but I wanted to get away before Wakui changed his mind. I let Kazuki lean on my shoulder as we left the school. Of course we saw no one on the way home. October 17th, Saturday. Wow! One twist after another, but for now it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We tried putting our investigation together, finding that a bunch of portals had appeared and we don't really know how to deal with them, but let's just stay in the club room while Serika hastily leads everybody out. That does concern me. Serika showed up to the meeting late, and then a baseball was thrown in the window, and Wakui was like, I guess she doesn't want me to. I said Kurisu because Kurisu actually spoils us, but at the same time, Serika is the person we made who always does everything for us, and she is the mastermind of this game, and she is powerful, and we know she's working with Sakuma. Does she have influence on Wakui? I don't know, but this is very scary. Wakui was a committee member the entire time. I figured something was a little weird when he showed up with Sakuma way back in the base storyline, but whoa, this is brilliant. How are we going to get out of this one? Until next time, everyone.